Welcome into BLTV Channel 6. I'm Brian Kell. We have many contested races throughout our service area for the November election, and we've reached out to candidates in some of those races to join us here at BLTV Channel 6. This is one of those candidates. This is one of those races. 3 open seats for the city of McMinnville when it comes down to Alderman, and we have got a current city alderman for the city of McMinnville, Mr. Everett Brock, with us. Everett, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for allowing me.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about you.
I was born and raised in McMinnville, graduated from City High School, then I graduated from Tennessee Tech with a degree in engineering. Started my own engineering firm in 1982 after working for several large companies as an engineer. Ran that for 30 years until I retired. I've served 12 years as an alderman, 4 years as vice mayor, and the last 8 years as the chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee.
What are people telling you are the most important things they want to see happen in the city of McMinnville?
Probably paving and sidewalks are the biggest thing. We've spent a lot of money on other infrastructure, but we need to do that. The problem with paving is it's gotten down to a point where $1 million gets you around 6 miles worth of paving. So, you know, it doesn't take long to eat up $1 million, and especially since we have, I think it's around 75 miles of road inside the city, so, or more than that. I think it's over 100. But anyway, it's a lot of streets that we have to do. And so I can't say that there's anything any bigger than that. We also need to look next year at a fire truck. We decided not to buy one this year. And wait till next year when we could get some grants to work on that. This year we would have had to pay $1 million out of pocket, and we need that money for other things such as paving and sidewalks. People kind of confuse the pothole issue with where we've done repair work underground. What we try to do before we do any paving is to go and work on infrastructure, water lines, sewer lines, because we don't want to pave and then turn right around and tear the street up and then have to pave again or patch the hole. So that kind of pothole, if you will, is really not a pothole. It's where we dig down, we replace the lines, and then we have to fill it in with dirt and gravel, and then we leave it for 3 or 4 weeks so it settles. If we have any rain, which we haven't had a whole lot lately. But we let that settle before we fill it in with either concrete or asphalt prior to doing the paving. We have to go ahead and pave over that just to get it back up to the levels of the street so they can actually pave. We just approved a new bid for asphalt, and like I said, with oil prices being up and prices of everything else, we just don't get as much bang for our buck as we used to.
You've already talked at length about, or quite a bit on infrastructure, and it's always an important subject.
Yeah.
You know, do you have specifically some needs in that area that really you feel need to be accomplished over the next 4 years?
Water and sewer, the underground part is the thing that we have the most problems with. We have maps that tell us when some of this stuff was replaced, but they're not always accurate. We obviously, if we have a break in the water line and we've got people out of water or out of sewer, then we take care of that right away. But we've tried to plan so that we repair any underground utilities when we know that we're going to pave it over the top of it. The other thing that we've started, and I made the suggestion to do this, was a stormwater plan. And today we have one employee that does that full-time with the help of other streets and sanitation people. And they've already won a state award for all the efforts that they've done. Getting ready to put a little park behind Bobby Ray School that will have a wetlands back there, and try to stop some of that water that will be coming down through there that we have a problem with flooding in the back of Bobby Ray School. And like I said, we want to continue paving the sidewalks. We've got some ARP money, or some people call it COVID money, to do this. We picked up $2 million this year, and we've got another $2 million that'll be coming in this month or next month. And so we're in a position where we can go after it more aggressively than what we have been. The other thing is the extension of Magnus Drive out at the industrial park, and a sidewalk from King Street all the way out to Motlow and the hospital. And that's going to start work probably after the first of the year. They have let the bids, and I think they're going to, I don't know, yeah, they did open the bids. And they will be letting the contracts to do that work here in the next week or two, and then they'll probably won't start until after the first of the year. So,
tourism, you know, has been important to McMinnville, and we've been fortunate to see growth in that over the past years, and growing revenue and helping that when it comes down to the city of McMinnville. Do you have any plans to help that front over the next 4 years?
Well, back 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we set up the TDB, or Tourism Development Board, and it's been a great success. It kind of was stagnant during the COVID crisis because you couldn't do any advertising, you couldn't do any large things that would encourage people to come in, and now they are starting to do that. So that has really made a difference. We've got some state numbers that show that our taxpayers are paying $115 less on their real estate taxes just because of tourism. Our tourism dollars are extremely high, and they're coming back from where they were, you know, over 2 years ago, and it's just it's not back there yet, but it's getting close.
The homeless issue, it's been a topic that's been of much debate, you know, recently. Any thoughts on how that can be tackled in a better or different way?
The home group, which I think is Homeless of McMinnville Effort, they came to us about a year and a half ago and challenged us to help them see this thing into fruition. And we donated some land that we had out in the county. It's land that we own that was had previously been an old landfill. And we have to keep maintaining it, so it's a nice, beautiful, flat area now. So we donated the land to them, and then they have a program, and we have people on the police force that are helping them so they get the right type of people out there. They have to meet certain requirements. They get them jobs, they get them counseling, and they have only a 6-month time frame for them to stay out there. It's not like it's a permanent home for people. And the houses were all built by church groups and civic groups around the city. And I think they have 6 or 7 of them up already, and they have 3 more that they have almost completed, and they'll take them out there. They build them off-site, bring them in, set them on the slabs.
Right. Are you a no new taxes person, no matter what, or does it depend on the situation the city finds itself in?
It depends on the situation. I remember back when I first got on the board back in 2008, we were in the middle of a recession, and we were in dire need. I mean, we were not laying off people. We weren't rehiring people. We were doing all kinds of things that people didn't like, but we had to do that to keep from defaulting. And we paid our bills, we did everything, but we had to raise some taxes. We have not raised taxes in 12 years, and we have managed a way to find it, and I think that being the finance chairman for 8 of those years, I had something to do with that.
Working with others of different mindsets is an important part of local politics.
Yeah.
Do you have examples of working with people of different perspectives, or if not, how would you plan to do this?
Well, first thing I learned when I became an alderman is that as board members, we were all in it for McMinnville. We could differ, but we compromised and we moved on. Today, that cooperation is sadly lacking on a national level and now appearing in local politics, unfortunately. It's kind of turned into a scorched earth policy. It goes far beyond just innuendos and into outright calling all board members crooks and embezzlers and that type of thing. We're under a yearly state audit and a private audit here in McMinnville, and we have never had an issue. We always pass with flying colors. So that's been an issue on various signs and billboards about how we're just wasting money or we're stealing money, and that's just not the case. I mean, we have to pass a rigid audit, which we just got finished with the latest state audit, and we don't have the results of that, but they told us that preliminary work, they don't see any problem, and we've never had a problem.
Preliminary reports, you know this, have shown Morford Street phase of downtown McMinnville revitalization would cost, I think, a little over $15 million. Mm-hmm. And I make sure that this is key through all of our questions, and that I think it was Nolan Ming that said mostly funded through grants in a mm-hmm. Southern Standard article that was done on this. Are you for pushing forward on this, with this? Why or why not? Well,
first of all, $15 million is a non-starter. It's just not going to happen at $15 million. So we're looking at how we can take a bite of the elephant, one bite at a time, instead of worrying about the overall project. And it would stimulate growth and raise the tax base on Morford Street. And it would go from around the courthouse on down to the whole plan for the whole $15 million was to go all the way around, up by Hardee's, back down East Main Street, or West Main Street, excuse me, and even down High Street. And so we're thinking about looking at, how we can do this. We really haven't discussed it that much. We had an architect's presentation, and other than that, we really haven't had very much discussion. It's certainly not on the agenda for right now, but we have talked to the state, and the state wants to repave both Main Street and Morford Street. So we've asked them to hold off on that because we have infrastructure under the ground along there that is really old. There's some of it that's probably the newest is 50, 60 years old. Wow. Some of it goes back further than that. And so we want to try to get the state to hold off paving until we can work on those kinds of things. We'd probably work on those anyway, but we don't want to tear the roads up and then leave it for 2 years, wait on the state to go in there. Also, Ben Lomond and MES have agreed that they will replace the overhead wires and put them underground as long as the city will put in the conduit, and that'll be at no cost to us. So we're looking at all different angles of this thing. Obviously, grants would have to be a big part of it because we can't chew $15 million. It's just not in the cards. But if we can get some grants and do it piecemeal, maybe up to Hardee's one time and then halfway back around or that type of thing. So that's going to really depend on where we can get the money. And we're not going to take $15 million out of anybody's pocket to do that. And certainly not going to go and borrow $15 million to do all that one time. We've got a little bit of time here left at the end, and appreciate your time being here with us. But tell us why you are the best person to be elected for one of those 3 open slots for the city of McMinnville. Well, I've got a lot of experience. Some people say that's something that they don't want to see, is they want to see people new. But I've got a lot of experience with city government. Like I said, I have been the budget and finance chairman for the last 8 years. I'm dedicated to it. I'm retired. I've got plenty of time. I spend probably 2 or 3 hours a day at City Hall signing checks and that type of thing. And I love this town. I really do. I was born and raised here. I was gone for about 20 years and then came back 40 years ago. And got interested in politics around 2007, 8. And other than 2 years off, I've been an Alderman for 12 years. I was fortunate enough to be involved in the downtown renovation, the opening of the Park Theater, renovation of the Milner Center, and the sale and the preservation of the Blue Building, which, by the way, we just closed on yesterday. Okay.
Everett Brock, thank you so much for your time. And we want to thank you for watching here on BLTV Channel 6. We want to ask you to also join us for our election coverage on Tuesday, November 8th, here on Channel 6. We ask you to join us for that. And thank you for spending time with us here on BLTV Channel 6.